Hey everyone, and welcome back. In today's video, we are going through the complete life story of a boy who dreamed of stars and decided to reach for them. We are exploring Elon Musk's incredible journey. He was a boy who found his home inside of books. Elon Musk was born in South Africa. He did not always fit in with the world around him. He was quiet. He was thoughtful. He often chose the company of science fiction, fantasy novels over playground games. These stories planted seeds in his mind. They were stories of grand adventures, of humanity reaching for distant stars and building incredible futures. He didn't just read these stories for fun. He saw them as an instruction manual for what humanity could and should become. In the mid-1990s, the internet was a wild frontier, an undiscovered country, full of potential. Elon and his brother Kimball saw an opportunity and started Zip2. They helped businesses get online, with maps, directions, and listings. They had little money, lived in the office, showered at a gym, and coded through the night. If it worked, they could help newspapers and media transition to digital. Their persistence paid off. Major newspapers saw the value. The company grew. They hired. They moved. He learned to raise money, manage teams, and sell products. In 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for over $300 million. Elon's share was about $22 million. For most, an ending. For him, fuel. The money wasn't the goal. It financed the next bigger idea. He kept moving forward. With the Zip2 money secured, a period of rest or lavish spending might have been expected. But for Elon Musk, the thrill wasn't in the payout, it was in the problem solving. He saw the internet's potential to overhaul entire industries, and his gaze quickly fell upon a sector ripe for disruption, one that touched everyone's lives yet remained stubbornly archaic. He went after an old, slow, complicated industry, banking. Musk was personally frustrated by the high fees for wire transfers and the days-long delays it took to move money. He believed the financial system was a relic, a labyrinth of paperwork, bureaucracy, and inefficiency that the digital age could completely dismantle. In 1999, he poured $10 million of his own money to found X.com, envisioned as a complete online financial services company. This wasn't just about payments, it was a breathtakingly ambitious plan to create a one-stop digital shop for everything: checking and savings accounts, mutual funds, insurance, and loans. He imagined banking, investments, and payments handled entirely online, accessible to anyone with an internet connection. It was a vision that flew in the face of convention. Regulations were dense and incumbents powerful, with lobbyists and century-old relationships protecting their turf. The establishment viewed the idea of a purely online bank not just as radical, but as reckless. But X.com had a secret weapon, a feature so simple, it was revolutionary. Its killer feature, the ability to send money to anyone with just an email address. This was a game changer. No more writing checks, no more trips to the bank, no more waiting days for funds to clear. For the burgeoning world of online auctions and small e-commerce, it was the missing link. But they weren't alone. In the very same building, a startup called Confinity, co-founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, had developed a similar payment product called PayPal. A fierce rivalry ignited. Both companies burned through cash, offering $10 bonuses for new signups in a frantic race to capture the market. Realizing they were bleeding each other dry, the two rivals made a pragmatic choice. In March of 2000, they merged. The combined entity initially kept the XCOM name, but the PayPal brand had better public recognition. They soon focused entirely on payments, rebranding as PayPal. The merger, however, did not end the internal conflict. Debates over technology and strategy were intense. Musk, as the company's largest shareholder, advocated for rebuilding the platform on a more stable Microsoft architecture, while the original PayPal faction fiercely defended their existing Linux-based system. The tensions came to a head. While Musk was on a long overdue vacation, a trip meant to be his honeymoon, the board, led by his rivals, staged a coup. He was replaced as CEO. It was a painful and public betrayal, but believing deeply in the company's mission, he remained on the board and continued to advise. Despite the internal drama, PayPal's growth was explosive. It became the default payment method on eBay, solving a critical trust and convenience problem for millions of buyers and sellers. The synergy was undeniable. In July 2002, eBay acquired PayPal for a staggering $1.5 billion. As the largest shareholder, Elon's stake netted him around $180 million after taxes. It was a monumental validation of his vision and a massive infusion of capital. He had now helped disrupt media and finance. But this newfound fortune wasn't for yachts or private islands. It was fuel for ambitions that were, quite literally, out of this world. Long pause. With his newfound fortune, the world was his oyster. He could have bought private islands, a fleet of supercars, or simply retired. But his mind wasn't on earthly luxuries. It was drifting back to the science fiction novels of his youth, to the grand questions that had captivated him as a boy. He began to think deeply about the long arc of human history, about our place in the cosmos, and reached a startling, almost terrifying conclusion. He saw that all of our achievements, our art, our history, our love, everything was confined to a single fragile planet, a single point of failure, an asteroid, a supervolcano, a self-inflicted catastrophe. Any number of events could end the human story, forever. To have a true, long-term future, he believed humanity must become a multi-planetary species. It was the ultimate backup plan. His first idea was a philanthropic mission he called Mars Oasis. The plan was to land a small automated greenhouse on the red planet. The sight of green life growing on Mars, broadcast back to Earth, would be a symbol of hope. It would be a money shot for humanity, designed to reignite public passion for space exploration and inspire the next generation. But to get his greenhouse to Mars, he needed a rocket. He flew to Russia, attempting to buy a refurbished intercontinental ballistic missile. The Russians, however, saw a naive internet millionaire, not a serious space pioneer. They dismissed his vision and quoted him an astronomical price. Dejected on the long flight home, he buried himself in books about rocket science. And as he crunched the numbers, a new, far more audacious idea began to form. He realized the raw materials for a rocket, aluminum alloys, copper, carbon fiber, were only about 2% of the typical price. The rest was legacy cost, bureaucracy, and staggering inefficiency. The thought struck him with the force of a revelation. Maybe we can build the rockets ourselves. It was a preposterous idea. The aerospace industry was a closed club of government-backed giants like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, who had spent decades and billions building their empires. But he saw a different path. What if you applied the fast-paced, iterative principles of Silicon Valley to the slow, conservative world of aerospace? In 2002, he committed $100 million of his own money and founded Space Exploration Technologies, or SpaceX. The mission was clear from day one, and it hinged on solving a problem that had plagued spaceflight since its inception. Every rocket that had ever flown was expendable. Multi-million-dollar machines, marvels of engineering, were used once and then discarded in the ocean. It was like flying a Boeing 747 from Los Angeles to New York, and then throwing the plane away. SpaceX's goal was to shatter that paradigm, to build fully reusable rockets that could land themselves, refuel, and fly again and again. This wasn't just about saving money. Reusability was the fundamental breakthrough required to make space travel affordable. It was the only conceivable path to building a self-sustaining city on Mars. The established experts laughed. They called it a fantasy, a violation of the laws of physics and economics. They said it was impossible, and that he would burn through his entire fortune and have nothing to show for it. He knew the odds were against him, but the alternative, doing nothing and leaving humanity's fate to chance, was unacceptable. So, he kept going anyway. The first years would test his resolve, his finances, and the very limits of his vision. Building a rocket from scratch demands physics, materials science, software, and relentless will. He was not a passive CEO, he was the chief engineer in the details. 2006, moments after liftoff, the engine caught fire, the rocket fell and exploded. They analyzed data, found the problem, built again. The second flew longer, then a harmonic oscillation sent it out of control. Money ran low. Critics wrote them off. A tiny timing error. First stage tapped the second mission lost. 3 failures. They had money for one more try. September 2008, the fourth Falcon 1 rose again. This time, everything worked. They reached orbit. They proved the world wrong. Soon after, a crucial NASA contract kept the dream alive. from the brink to breakthrough in one relentless arc. A small team, a fourth try in orbit. While SpaceX was fighting for its very survival, Elon Musk was already dividing his focus, pouring his energy and capital into another seemingly impossible venture. In 2004, he became the largest shareholder and chairman of a tiny Silicon Valley startup called Tesla Motors, founded by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. At the time, electric cars were dismissed as a novelty, slow, ugly, glorified golf carts with pathetic range. But Musk and the early Tesla team saw a different path. Their mission was audacious: to destroy the compromises of electric vehicles. They aimed to prove an EV could be not just an alternative, but a superior choice, faster, more beautiful, and more thrilling to drive than its gasoline-powered rivals. Their first product, the Roadster, was the spearhead of this strategy. It couldn't just be good, it had to be undeniably cool. It needed blistering acceleration, a design that turned heads, and a battery that could deliver real-world range, shattering the public's perception of what an electric car could do. But turning that vision into reality was brutal. The engineering challenges were immense. Batteries, thousands of laptop cells wired together, would dangerously overheat. Transmissions failed under the instant torque of the electric motor. Deadlines were missed, and budgets spiraled out of control. The company was burning through cash at an alarming rate. By 2008, the storm hit. The global financial crisis choked off investment capital just as both SpaceX and Tesla were on the verge of running out of money. With rockets exploding and car production stalled, Musk faced an impossible choice. His two companies, the pillars of his life's work, were simultaneously nearing collapse. He risked everything. Taking the last of his personal fortune from the PayPal sale, he made the gut-wrenching decision to split his remaining reserves, giving both companies just enough fuel to survive a few more weeks. It was an all-or-nothing bet. Then, at the 11th hour, two miracles occurred. NASA awarded SpaceX a life-saving contract, and Tesla managed to close a crucial funding round on Christmas Eve, just hours before it would have declared bankruptcy. With the crisis averted, Tesla finally began delivering Roadsters. It was a landmark moment, proving that a desirable, high-performance electric vehicle was not only possible, but a reality. The Roadster was never about volume, it was the catalyst. It set the stage for the award-winning Model S, and ultimately, the car that would bring electric vehicles to the masses, the Model 3. Yeah. But his ambitions weren't limited to cars and rockets. He was thinking on a planetary scale, about the entire energy equation. This led him back to an idea he had conceived years earlier, which became SolarCity. Founded by his cousins, Lyndon and Peter Reeve, the company's mission was to make rooftop solar power easy and affordable for ordinary homeowners. The master plan was becoming clear. It was a three-part symphony. Generate clean energy with solar, store that energy in stationary batteries for use day or night, and drive on that energy with an electric car. A complete, self-sustaining system. He wasn't just building separate companies, he was building a vertically integrated sustainable energy ecosystem. To complete this vision in 2016, Tesla acquired SolarCity. The move was highly controversial, criticized by some investors as a bailout. But Musk defended it as absolutely essential for creating a seamless one-stop shop for the consumer. Electric cars, home batteries, and solar roofs, all under a single brand. The unified brand pushed a bold, integrated clean energy future, a future powered by the sun and driven by electricity. The path to building the future is paved with setbacks. His journey is defined by failures as much as successes. Model 3, ramp, chaos, missed targets, money on fire. He slept on the line, chasing bottlenecks as doubt swelled. His Twitter use courted controversy, culminating in SEC charges, fines, and stepping down as chairman for a time. Fascination and criticism followed in equal measure, a thin line between visionary genius and reckless behavior. For every smooth landing, many fiery failures. For every record quarter periods of panic, it's not a straight line, never was. Change is a fight, and fights leave scars. It's messy, so what is the lesson? It's not simply about getting rich, it's the power of a long-term vision. Accelerate sustainable energy, make life multi-planetary. Goals for the next century, not the next quarter. Resilience and iteration. Trying, failing, learning, trying again. And that's the incredible journey of Elon Musk, from a curious boy in South Africa to a global innovator shaping the future. What did you find most fascinating about his story? His work with SpaceX, Tesla, or something else? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Majki Moik out.